high, it is a continuation of those rejections. So that is also true. I do not from now on forever want any romantic relationships with any persons I worked for, be it a disabled veteran that works as a clerk and that or his obese wife, or the one that has no children and is for real obese, and her spouse who has anger issues, and the persons that they in charity took $500 from me because of a place that they that is much nicer than here for sure, 100%. That is independent big land. However, it is still that they sniff money from far away, and then make sure that that money is, as long as there is someone providing, it is the, impeding work, and that is impeding access also to any sort of work based on qualifications that results in persons being kept hostage at homes without assistance. And I am not gonna pretend to be cleaning lady to figure that out, because that is humiliating for a doctor. And you may steal even more, like I reported to FBI, money, and still more of those exams, one of which I passed, the others I never managed to get there. However, it's not gonna help you. If you kill and rob, that is not gonna help you. That is not the computer, those are persons in front of those computers. Okay? The computer does not have legs. A person can get out and do the work. The same as now, sitting and doing nothing because there is virus does not grant us food. That is not for only me. Food growing outside in fields, okay, and in free. That's another thing. That the delusional policeman, that it seems to him that he is actually sexually pursued from Yavapai County with 3 or 4 women. That it seems to them that it's again a marriage at the office, which I don't know if it is what they need to marry, and that needs to be enabled, not reason to hurt them, okay? And that is what that they need to do. However, impeding as if it was a private house access to sale of land that lies there not used, and saying that he won't shake my hand because he's disgusted, which is caused mostly because I shook hand of that ensign. That's why. That is called racism or discrimination based on being disgusted with another man. So man disgusted with another man, considering that man's source of desire. So even handshake, you see, that is a reason for that delusional person to fear also, because he is in this cocoon of goo of desire in the office, is considered as an insult to have his dynamic of a pseudo love at work attacked. And that is not work. At work, persons have to be celibate, okay? And that means also not business. First, we sell land and allow person to not to be robbed by police. Like one that approached me and called it a divorce robbery, even though I was at home kept hostage after 12 years. It happens because of a social stalking in envy of that book, to have us not get along. That was what happened. That was group effort for whoever it is that then decided that Arno made it to provide for him an opportunity to provide for her. Like Gia Marlowe, for instance, who managed to have lecture me on how that I'm not to be stressed, because she went to therapy and she couldn't make it with 150K with the daughter, so she married an Indian. Sorry, no, that was a person who was Italian of origins, an economist, and that was short and ugly, and who had nothing at home, basically small closet, no clothes, and could not use anything, because she was the woman, not in the same way she obtained by him only job, because that's how people recruit, and divorce people fire. That is why, for instance, if for instance the officer would like to marry those persons in the office and have children, go in public, do not apologize. If you, for instance, desire that woman who you work with, the one from Yavabai, more than the others. This is free advice. Be grateful, okay? Despite the fact that you've harassed me and prevented me from having own by now place and business, both, and your county having, actually not only a whistleblowing activity, but also, for instance, potentially a consulting that is multidisciplinary, which is more, we could refer persons to a GP, which I am not, or a neurologist, which I am not. I am more than that in a very narrow scope that is unlike sexuality. It impedes sexuality if there is a lot of work, because I also have generalist knowledge, which I prefer if I can delegate to some Indian or another person that hopefully can be also from here, not only robbing, but actually taking interest in their own persons. That would be nice. That's what that person, if he wants to go and say, I want to have children with that person I work with, be it the Native American or the white one that couldn't work at all, that is great. Marry and have children, and then decide if you prefer to have sex, or you prefer stay at home children, or you prefer to perform work, having that person already preferred one as a spouse, and stop occupying the office, because that is then impossible to do any business, and that really, really stinks like corruption. Okay, similar action to the Native Americans, but yes, well, there were only two policemen, so it's much easier to disarm that corruption. That wasn't good action. At least that is under construction. Maybe they will place someone who is not corrupted and that does not require the whole unit, so that person is not is scared because the other one threatens that he can do anything in a uniform. Oh, by the way, that man, because of how he behaved, I also from now on forward, because of his wishes, I gave him time, and I also sought after his well-being enough, delegating to proper organizations. I did desire that man in person because he was a very handsome masculine person, regardless of his verbal abuse. It's always despite of at first, and the person, for me, because I was exposed to it as child, this is again a psychiatric rule. A person once exposed has others trying to impersonate a perpetrator or try to imply that I am a person who was in any way abused, or try to enforce an impression of superiority by using the other person from wherever that abuse was, or there are many. We all go through it, as in hazing, right? Impersonating that person to have that being a source of lower self-esteem, to cause pursuit of that person as if that person was worthier. A person who, now the rule is this, who abuses or harasses is loved and desired less. It's a fact, because we more and more associate with only pain and abuse instead of sex and love that person's behavior. So that man, for instance, he is not personally my choice, because he prefers probably someone else who he defended. Would I want now a man who defends that way? Depends. If I'm attacked, perhaps. If not, well, no, right? I don't want someone who would want to be non-stop paranoid, searching for defending or searching for an excuse to reject me, because that is just a waste of life. And so that man also, from now on forward, I do not wish to impede my work, provide me with income based on any sort of sexual or romantic insinuations that I did make in that book on purpose. Okay, and I gave time to it if he was interested in responding to it, until this February 25th, which was last year's birthday, because I never heard of him or from him. That means that he's not interested, in pursuing him against his wishes as from the beginning, as opposed to him pursuing someone else, would be unkind to my also self-esteem, because I don't want to be less loved than I am loving. And me forgiving that person for abuse of me, verbal one, is being more loving, and I don't like that. Altruism is not basis of a sexual desire or relationship. So make sure that this is known also to him and others. The same is for any sort of lesbianship of any persons, that those men who I rejected because I know mental health. I do not wish also to be insinuated that I prefer less than maximum in natural law to marry in form of a female that he also desires that in a different period of time that he desires as much as me or less so or more so, whichever combination. I just don't want to be mixed into it. And objections are when I am mixed, so please make sure that this man that I describe and will name, that they have more than me always and more than indicated by me standards, and in such way if he's rehired somewhere else, that this is how it works. If he wishes so, of course, like everybody else, not being impeded, the same as the Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt said that impeding by fame to for income on always the third that is going on is solved by searching for the fourth, but not always. Sometimes it is just non-searching, not implying someone else to get rid of, and also not defending. That is, though, to say so. If I am harassed because that person needs to envision me in another person, then it's a problem. And love is source of desire, so don't be grateful. I did my job. This is what I am trying to do, defending him. I've done the same for many persons, and the same as me. Just because that person from Kelso did the best job, the policeman, it does not mean that I actually want him to become bad or harmed, or me in any sort of restraint even from using his work. On the contrary, unless that is not his wish and he prefers to have children, for instance, which I do not want to provide as if it was a calf for him and whoever it is that he's, however it is married to, which is none of my business unless it affects me and my health or chances to marry. So again, if he does not feel adoration and love and desire for me that is superior to work and all of activities, hobbies and persons expressed in pursuit when given a chance, the person that man from Gaza gave me a right of me, if he does not feel that way, then I 100% reject anything less from him and from others as insinuations, because we cannot force person to love anyone, and I cannot force myself to love someone who loves me less than I do. Is that clear? Or I cannot make that person being loved based on whatever he did. I can forgive, but I cannot make sure that a person who, for instance, did not assure of my safety afterwards and did not think of police work as being a continuation, that that person actually has for me a chance to be something that is a partner, me being forced to use the kindness of somebody else in some shabby motel, or ask brother for help because of inability to obtain what is his domain, a driving license that was stolen because of police force just in another state. You see, that is the responsibility. It is what he has to help me with, not that he wants to or does not want to.